I do create things for more than 20 years, and I never did a big story ballet in that sense. Lately, or the last few years, different companies ask me more and more often, Edward, when you're going to do a full-length story, you know? And then the first came basically to my mind was Peer Gynt. Maybe because it was the first piece I've danced in when I joined Maribor Ballet in 1991. It was Peer Gynt done by Václav Orlikovsky. At that time, I had no idea what Peer Gynt is, and even less who is Ibsen. But I knew Grieg's music. And the funny thing about Peer Gynt, you know, if you ask someone, especially from the dance or ballet world, you know, do you know Peer Gynt? Yeah, of course, and they would start sing Grieg. Long time after that, I started to create, I can't say choreograph, and invent some sort of movements out of a ritual, basically. I started to work soon after I joined Maribor Ballet with Thomas Pandur, at the time a controversial and quite avant-garde theater director, quite well known around Europe, and I experienced his theater, and that made a strong impact on me. I was interested in Ibsen, and I wasn't sure about Grieg in the very beginning, because we know that he was not very happy with Grieg's music at the premiere in Oslo, at that time Christiania, at the end of 19th century. Ibsen at that time managed to put together a very, very complex and a new way in a telling story in this play, which has so many different aspects, you know, from naturalism going into a fantasy fairy tale world, and coming into a you know, early modernism, going into philosophic, metaphysic, and nevertheless absurd. I'm not so sure that Grieg covered all these areas, you know, and I knew that that's not going to be possible to use the incidental music that was actually written for Peer Gynt. But in the same time, I said, we're talking about a dance performance, we're talking about that people have already associations, and they are familiar with the issue, with the topic, with Peer Gynt, through the music, if not through Ibsen. So I said, I think it's essential to stay with Grieg. But then, completing the scenario and not libretto, I started to work on libretto and to do the research and to see what musical compositions of Grieg would suit a certain scene. And I started to explore Grieg, but not what he wrote for Peer Gynt. And I was overwhelmed. And I discovered Grieg that it's more suitable for Peer Gynt than the actual Grieg that he wrote Peer Gynt. I was curious. And then I watched this performance, and when I watch this Peer Gynt, I'm curious. And I can't predict what will happen. Even I know the story. And this is what I expect from the audience, to keep their curiosity from the beginning until the end, and to embark on this journey. I hope they will, like before, embrace this new experience and like it so much like myself.